Well, hello, my music teacher friends. You are listening to episode number 73 of the Beyond Measure podcast. And yep, it's me, Christina Whitlock, your anytime piano teacher friend, just welcoming you here, whether you are here for the first time or maybe the 73rd. Either way, I am so happy you're here, and today I'm just going to tell you a quick little story about what it means to be a music teacher out in the real world. All right, so I wanted to share a story with you today, just a quick little something that happened to me last week, but it just made me smile at, the wonders of music teacher life. So before we go any further, I'm going to give a quick warning that my story involves a kind of messy blood draw that I had taken at the doctor's office. So if you are someone who is particularly squeamish about blood or needles, then this is probably not the podcast episode for you. I think you're probably safe with any other episode I will ever record of this podcast. But today we talk about needles and blood. Sorry, but there's your warning. Okay, so by that warning, it's probably evident that I needed to have some blood work run last week. So I went to my doctor's office, the nurse called me back, and I was getting all settled in. And all of a sudden, this younger girl came into the room, and she was clearly, a nursing student, and she was clearly very nervous. And she rattled off almost like a little script that she had memorized. And she told me her name and the fact that she was a student, and she wanted to make sure it was okay with me if she sat in on my blood draw. And of course I said, that's fine, no big deal. And the original nurse was, getting all of my paperwork ready. And when it was time to actually take my blood, she looked at the student and she said, I think I'm going to let you do this one. And I'm sure that I probably looked caught off guard. And I definitely think the student looked kind of surprised to be asked. But again, I figure, well, let's do this thing. So the student proceeds to start to kind of, poke around on my arm to find the vein that she wanted to use. And I should tell you that I'm not a very easy stick in these situations because my veins are just small and they roll around and all that kind of thing. So I'm really not the easiest patient in this scenario. But anyway, the student finds the vein that she wants to use, and she proceeds to try to stick me. Now, it wasn't working out really well. We didn't have a lot of success, and the nurse was trying to kind of walk her through it and help her find a better entry point, and nothing was painful, for the record. She wasn't hurting me, but at one point she shifted the needle one direction and blood just started squirting out of my arm. And so the original nurse gasps out loud and goes, which is never what you want when you're getting your blood taken. And all of a sudden I looked over, they threw a piece of gauze on my arm and I'm holding it, no big deal. But the nursing student has just tears welling up in her eyes and starting to come down her face. And all of a sudden, without even having to think about it, all of my music teacher tendencies came right out. And I immediately snapped into concerned teacher mode for this poor nursing student. I looked her right in the eyeballs right away and I said, look, you do not have to worry about me, okay? I said, I am a piano teacher. In fact, I'm a piano teacher who trains other teachers how to become piano teachers. So that means that I spend my life preaching this truth that it's okay to make mistakes and none of us are going to be perfect all the time. And I mean, I'm just going on and on in all of my teacher preacher glory. And the thing is, I don't know if I helped her feel any better or not, because she was still visibly very upset with herself over what had happened. But at the same time, all I could hope for was that the rest of the day she was going to encounter people that were going to be understanding towards her. I told her, I was like, look, we need you. We need nurses. I know it. And so, I figure if I have to take one for the team and help one get acclimated, then that's a very small price to pay. And I'm sure you can't help but wonder right now, hey, Christina, this is all well and fine, but why are you telling me this story today on your podcast? Well, here's where I'm going with this, my friends. Our teacher skills are a wild kind of superpower. I mean, we understand the learning process more than most people. We understand the challenge of being beginners. At least I hope we do. And, since the world around us seems to be in great, and I mean great need of more compassion, I just want to challenge you today to be your unique brand of teacher self wherever you go. When you encounter the new cashier whose line at the grocery store is long and she has to look up every single produce code at the register, or when you are stuck behind that slow driver with the label on the back that says student driver, when you hear a screaming toddler on the airplane, I mean, that's a tough one, but the poor kid, he's just learning how to be a person, and that's not easy. We all know it. So today's episode is just a little itty-bitty quick one, and I really just wanted to remind you to take your teacher personality out into the world with you, wherever you go. Show grace, show compassion, show understanding, and show support for people who are out there trying to do new things. Especially those who are trying to help other people while they're doing it. And so, my uniquely branded music teacher friends, that's really all I have for you today. But in true Beyond Measure podcast fashion, we will close today by raising our glasses in a toast to one another. Here we go. Music teacher friends all over the world. It's not easy to be the student, is it? I mean, when was the last time you felt like a student? I made myself a promise many years ago that I would always be in a position where I was actively learning a new skill. I feel like I've kind of fallen off that wagon in recent years, except, parenting young kids is a new adventure every day. There's plenty to learn there. But the point is, as we all know, we are all better when we continue learning throughout our lives. And, if we want to support people continuing to learn, well, it means we're going to have to take that patience that we're famous for inside the studio, and we're going to need to start applying it outside the studio as well. Who do you encounter in your daily life who could benefit from a little bit of your teacher magic? Who can you put at ease in stressful situations today? As a little throwback to last week's episode, who needs to hear from you that progress is better than perfection? Never underestimate the power of our music teacher know-how, my friends. The world really does need us now more than ever. And so, I raise my glass and say cheers to us, my multi-talented music teacher friends. Hear, hear. And there you have it, episode number 73. Thanks for joining me for just a little tiny story time today, my friends. If you are looking for ways to continue the party here, feel free to come join me on Instagram and on Facebook at Beyond Measure Podcast. We have a good time over there, and I would love to make you a part of it. And feel free to reach out and send me a message anytime you need. You can also email me anytime at beyondmeasurepodcast@gmail.com. So, in the meantime, I'm just going to wish you onwards and upwards to your next big adventure, and we'll talk next week, all right? Great. Thanks so much, my friends. Take care.